Hey, and welcome. This is episode 4 now, though it's been a while, of Codependent. And if you're listening, thank you. I'm your host, Mac, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Alli.
Hi.
It's been a month, maybe,
I think so.
since we did the last episode.
Yeah.
That's kind of to be expected. We sort of said, like, hey, we're going to do these when it's fun and when we feel like it, as opposed to based on any schedule. Because it's not like there's that many, it's not like anybody's tuning in to be like dead on release date.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Though, since the last time we did, after the last episode, we did actually post it, and some people did listen.
I know.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
So thank you if you did listen, and if you're still listening, thank you, I suppose.
If you've like subscribed and you get alerts.
I'm sorry for
There's
that.
a new episode.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
But cool.
Yeah.
So that's fun. But yeah, it's been a nice. I feel like it's been a nice month. I feel like it's been really busy though. My God, we've had like so many plans. Like it's like those kinds of ones where it's like nice, but then by the time you get to the end of the period and it's like you just constantly had things going on, and you're like, holy shit, I've had no time to just kind of chillax.
Yeah.
Right. But it's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just got back from a little trip. What did you think of Aarhus?
I was very pleasantly surprised because I've been there a few times for work/school, but I've never actually like spent time there. So actually getting to do like a day and a half-ish was really cool because it was a lot more lively and there was a lot more stuff to do than I thought. So
Yeah.
I was actually very pleasantly surprised.
It's a nice review of the city of Aarhus, so shout out to that. Which, for people who don't live in Denmark who would not know what that is, it's the second biggest city in Denmark, which we of course know because we're studying for our Danish permanent residency exam, and that question just came up. But yeah, over on the western island, or is that a peninsula because it's connected to Germany?
I guess.
I don't know, but of Jutland. We were there over the weekend because it's a long weekend at the moment for Pinse. But yeah, I agree. It was nice. I feel like it was. We get in this like loop of when we travel, we like, well, why would we kind of hang out in Denmark if we have time off that we would go do something? So you might as well go somewhere else. Especially when you look at like actually the prices of taking a train all the way there and all the way back, and the hotel price, like it's not like it's that cheap just to stay in the country for a weekend, you know. So I feel like we've never really done it other than you when you went for work or whatever. But going was actually super nice. I feel like I was very pleasantly surprised, like all the different streets walking down, and at the Latin Quarter, and the whatever that street was with I think where we got dinner. At the Japanese place, and like all of those little bars and Mikkeller are all there, like that street, like there's so much stuff. There's a lot of like
something Gill or something like that. Yeah, very cool.
Sounds about right. There's a lot of like nice lively areas, and it's just a pretty small city though. It's like super easy to get around.
Yeah,
so it's really nice. Definitely, like I would recommend to people if they come visit and they haven't been there before. Like I would definitely recommend. It was really nice.
Yeah. And definitely it would have been a cool spot to get. There seemed to be a lot of like cool like beer and cocktail kind of places, so it would be cool to also go there if you're drinking and stuff. We're not right now, but in the future it would be cool because there's a lot of cute little cocktail bars and cool beer places. So. Yeah,
definitely a good time. And now sort of preparing ourselves for another weekend trip.
This upcoming weekend.
This upcoming weekend to
Munich.
Yeah.
Because our friends James and Gianna just got married.
Yeah, so congratulations to James and Gianna.
Congrats.
Big, exciting. They had the wedding yesterday, so Saturday. 2 days ago now.
Yeah.
So super exciting. So we're gonna get to go hang out. I'm excited. You've never been to Munich before because you were in Germany, but not Munich.
Yes.
Where did you go in Germany? I don't remember.
Rammstein.
Okay. I don't know where that is. Isn't that the name of like a metal band?
It is.
Okay. It's also a place?
Yes. There's a military base there, and that's where Jonathan's, my good friend in high school, his dad was stationed there. And so after freshman year of college, I think, we were just talking, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm headed back like the day after school gets out or whatever. And I was like, dude, if you wait a day, I'll come down from Flag and we can fly out together and go hang out in Germany. And so I went, and it was super cool. And they had like, they just lived in like a little town, and so I was just going around there. And then we drove to Paris.
Nice.
For like a day and a night or something with his family. It was very nice.
Do they listen to Rammstein at Rammstein?
Yeah, it's just playing in the town.
Yeah, like on loop all the time.
On a loop 24/7.
Like a torture chamber or something? Nice. I went to, when we went to Germany, when I went after college, we did go to Munich. I don't remember how long we were there, maybe a couple days or something. But it was nice. I remember liking it. But it's been like so long at this point, so I have hardly any memory of that at this point.
Also, that was like a whirlwind trip.
Yeah, we did a lot of shit in that trip, which was a great trip.
Yeah.
But I don't remember specifically Munich too much, so I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good time.
Yeah. So we'll be there for like 3 days with our friends.
Yeah. Nice.
2 days. We'll fly there Friday night, spend Saturday with them, and then Sunday they're going to go to the castle that inspired the Disney castle. And like do
Neuschwanstein. I did see that. That was pretty sweet.
And they're going to do that tour, and so we said, we'll let you have your honeymoon time, so we're going to go just tool around and do something else that day, I think, and then head back.
Yeah,
be very nice.
Don't really know I don't remember anything about like what to do or where to be or anything, so we'll have to just like
Knowing us, we'll look that up way too late.
Figure it out. Yeah, figure it out. Yeah. And just see.
Figure it up.
We're going to figure it right up. But that should be nice.
And then after that, we're still slowly but surely planning our trip to Thailand, which will be awesome. 2 weeks at the beginning of July. Very cool.
So much planning, I feel like, for that trip. But it's
Not
exciting.
Really.
It has been, though. Not so much left.
Yeah.
We're kind of like done almost, right?
We have 2 hotels picked out, but we haven't booked them.
Okay. No, well, we booked 2 of them.
We booked 2, and we still have 2 picked out.
Oh, yeah,
but we
yeah,
haven't booked them.
But they're like hearted on booking or something?
I'm sure.
Okay. We need to figure that out.
We're like genius level 1,000 on booking now.
Yeah. We have like, a month and 10 days. We don't have a lot of time to still be bullshitting. We haven't booked any flights or trains or flights or ferries or anything. So we're fucking walking from Bangkok to Phuket at this point.
That's the whole trip.
Yeah, the whole trip. Yeah,
it's
2 weeks.
The journey, not the destination.
To walk between the whole island of Thailand.
Yeah.
That'd be fun, though. That's a good way to get a, like, proper, exploration of the place, is to get lost walking from one end to the other and, like, dehydrated and starved to death.
Eat, pray, love shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's, like, probably more gentrified, though, right?
Eat, Pray, Love?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen it. Or, is it a book also?
It was a book originally, and then I think Reese Witherspoon played.
Was it Reese Witherspoon? I thought it was, I thought it was like Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, maybe it is.
Because I don't like her, so I feel like
I
remember
one of them
being
white
her.
Ladies.
No. Or, wait, was it Sarah Jessica Parker, or who's the one from, what's that movie?
Christ. Every time.
I know. No, I can't remember. Hold on, you gotta give me a second.
Legally Blonde?
No, where she's like the prostitute, and then she's like, "Oh, you." Now I'm rich.
You were on commission, right?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. What is that movie? She's the lady, or something. What is this fucking movie
She's
called?
a lady. No. Stop talking.
It's Love. It's got Richard Gere.
Stop talking. No, I can't think of it. Oh God! Everyone who's listening is screaming at us.
What is the movie called?
Now I'm not gonna remember because she's a hooker.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's the name.
Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman. But what's the name of the actress in Pretty Woman? Rachel.
No. It's not Rachel McAdams. So stop trying to say that.
Is it Sarah Jessica Parker?
No.
No. Who is it then?
Jessica Alba.
It's Jessica Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston. Okay,
we're too deep. You gotta look this shit up. We're too deep.
All right, we're looking it up.
Okay,
all right,
so
here we
what
go.
is it called?
Pretty Woman.
It's called Pretty Woman. All right, listeners, we're on the internet. It's called Pretty Woman.
Ow.
No, what?
It's Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts. Wait, so who is she in the one Eat, Pray, Love?
Let's look it up.
Okay, so now we just go straight to the source. Eat, Pray, Love. Who is this? Film. Okay, right there. It is Julia Roberts. Okay, so it's the same thing. Yeah. So after she becomes rich, she stops being a prostitute. She gets money from Richard Gere, and she becomes rich. Then she goes on this adventure. I'm assuming it's a connected universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, that was a digression. But
yeah, that was terrible.
No, that was entertaining. I think.
Okay.
I mean, that's great podcasting.
That's what the people are here for.
That's perfect podcasting. But anyways, on the side of what we've been, I feel like a million trips planned, which is exciting.
Yeah.
But always a lot of work to do. We've been doing a bit of gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing a bit of gaming.
Bit of showing.
Bit of showing, yeah. I feel like show-wise, we've just been kind of...
hitting Letterkenny so hard.
Just in like a chill, especially, I feel like especially when it's really busy.
Yeah, I can't be focusing.
I just want to watch something that I don't really need to focus that much on.
Yeah.
And maybe I can be on my phone or my Switch or just kind of not paying that much attention.
Yeah. And
the other show that we've been watching, which is an excellent show, highly recommend to watch, but is exactly the very much pay attention show, is Shogun. And so we've really kind of
put a pause on that.
Put a pause on that because it's just not a very good time to watch a show where you need to be really paying attention because it's super dialogue heavy and slow politics, but also not only is it dialogue heavy, but it's all in Japanese. And so you need to read the whole time.
Yeah.
Because it's all subtitles. And that is okay, that's a show you cannot look away from the screen at all. And I'm not in that mental headspace right now.
And depending on the day and if we've already kind of recapped with each other and stuff, then we'll often watch a show while we eat. But you can't eat. You literally can't eat almost anything without having to look down at what you're picking up or what you're eating. So then you can't really watch the show while you eat because if you look away for 1 second, you've missed an entire sentence or two of dialogue, and then you're wait, what's going on? So
yeah, I feel like I don't know what types of food can you eat without having to look down at the food.
I was just thinking that, and I was
what type of food is that?
Nothing, I don't think. Maybe chips.
Can you eat a hot dog without having to look at the hot dog?
No.
No? What about a burger? Pizza.
No, because all
a pizza slice.
I feel like pizza slice, yeah.
You can probably eat pizza without looking at the pizza, right?
Yeah. As long as it's not doesn't have a lot of stuff on top.
Yeah,
if I'm trying to eat the kebab pizza, that's impossible because there's so much shit on top of that.
How often are you eating kebab pizza?
Well, when at parties and stuff, sometimes there's kebab pizza. I'm just giving an example,
kebab pizza.
If it was just cheese or maybe pepperoni or something, but if it's got a lot of sauce or a lot of toppings that are falling off every time, then you have to really focus.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much been completely out. But I do want to come back to that show because it is really good.
Oh, totally. And then
it's amazing.
But so we've basically been watching kind of just kind of silly shows right now. So we've been watching Letterkenny, and then I recently have gotten back into Psych, which is just so goofy and so good.
I forgot how stupid that show is.
It's completely
Though I really
stupid.
liked that show. I think I was watching it in college, because I feel I don't know if it hit Netflix at that time or something. I was just streaming through all of it. But I forgot how completely stupid that show is. But it is really funny.
In a good way, though.
In a good way, yeah. It's just so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
very, very highly recommend as what we call wallpaper show.
Yeah.
Yeah, very funny.
And then I do feel like I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention that in the last month has also been, for me at least, a absolute peak of hip-hop industry with since the last episode recorded all this beef shit with Drake and Kendrick and whatever. And
absolutely gone off the rails.
Yeah, I feel like I've been talking about that a lot with people at work, and it's just I just wanted to mention it very briefly because it's been very entertaining. So I've been very excited.
But now it's kind of over, right?
It's pretty much over now.
Kendrick basically ended it.
I mean, Kendrick definitely won, but it kind of ended. I think there was a Kendrick track that kind of blew it up. Then there was a Drake response. Then he made another song, and then Kendrick came back with 2 songs. Then Drake replied, and then Kendrick dropped another song right after. And then he dropped another track right after. That was crazy. And then Drake came back and dropped another song. And then I feel like after that it was yeah, it's over. Because honestly, that Drake response was just
meh.
Bro, it would have been better if you didn't even say anything, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty much over. But it has been really good. It's been very entertaining. And it's been very much firing up, I feel the rap industry again. And now there's a bunch of new albums that have been not related to that, but I feel some new albums coming out, new Vince Staples album coming out soon. We just got a new Childish Gambino album and Chief Keef album, and then we bought tickets to see Childish Gambino later this year. That'd be fun.
Oh.
And so it's I feel hip hop and rap is in a very good state right now, so I'm very excited.
And just in the music realm, also of shows, we just went and saw
Tenacious D.
Tenacious D, and that was the most redonkulous concert ever. It was so fun. I don't want to say too much. I know it's still going in Europe, so I don't know. All of our listeners.
Yeah, I'll say,
I don't know.
Would you be spoiling this
I
for?
I thought it was in the US that I was going to, but no, it's just starting the Europe tour. So then I can, I guess, just say it was just really fun, and like they had so many silly, like, kind of gimmicky things and like little skits and stuff. It was just great. Yeah. Super, super enjoyed that show. It was very fun. And I did not expect to be so starstruck when I saw Jack Black come out on the stage. I don't know. I was just like, oh my God, like I'm breathing the same air as Jack Black. Like
it's
really
he's like
cool. Right there.
Yeah.
Because I've seen, you know, like I said to you, like I don't have a lot of artists that I've been following for a long time that like I would be going to see now necessarily, but like Jack Black is since like School of Rock and stuff. I was like 10 when I was watching that, or 8 or something. So like seeing him in real life was just like, oh my gosh, because I've been following him, not obviously like Tenacious D and stuff, but just like knowing of him and thinking he's so cool, and he's just such a great guy. So it was just like so cool to really see him in real life. That was very cool.
Yeah, I think it's fun to have like there's like an extra element of it, because you know normally it's like when I see an artist in person it's still cool. Like we saw Kendrick, I'm like oh shit, like there's Kendrick, I've never seen him before, that's so cool. But it is different when it's like Jack Black, where it's like he is like in music and you know his music's fun or whatever, but it's like you also know him from so many other things, where you see him in so many movies and so many like videos and personalities on talk shows and this and that, as opposed to I feel like with musical artists it's a lot more like kind of behind the scenes, you're listening to the music as opposed to like all of their characters and all of the stuff that you've been seeing them in. And for sure, like seeing just like Jack Black on the stage just like making jokes and dicking around when he's like singing and stuff is so funny. And
he kept being like manga tack and stuff. It was so funny.
He was really getting into it.
But
that was a really good time. And I feel like it was a perfect surprise random thing that we bought, you know, back in October drunkenly at a party, and then we're like, all of a sudden it was May, and it was like, oh shit, we have a Tenacious D concert like next week. But that was a very pleasant surprise. Yeah,
it was very cool.
Yeah, super nice.
But I guess onward to some gaming stuff.
Yeah, I am here, or I wanted to kind of talk about this final... The Final Fantasy, the finalist of fantasies. I have finished the final chapters and finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I almost forgot what the name was. And I looked and I was like clocking my hours on that, and I think it's like my second or third highest PlayStation game I've ever played.
I think
now,
we just looked and it was second because first was Persona 5.
Yes, Persona 5.
125 hours.
Yeah. That's a fucking great game, by the way. But yeah, it was it was like 97 hours, I think, which is so insane. Like, I mean, I play a lot of games, and sometimes I play games for a really long time or whatever, but like, it depends on the game, whether it really feels like it's a super long time or not. I feel like Persona 5, like, honestly, that game, it's 125 hours, and it ended, and it was like, bro, I could play another 100 hours, honestly. Like, if it just kept going, because it was so good, it was always... new stuff, different stuff. Like, the story was always so driving. It was always so paced to, like, get you through that time that it didn't really even feel like it. And this one, by the time, like, that it ended, it did... Like, that 97 hours did kind of feel like 97 hours. But now that I finished it, I do feel like... I'm not... No spoilers, whatever. But I do feel like I still really enjoyed it. But I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed... the first remake, like, because they're doing 3 parts, right?
Weren't you saying this is kind of the middle area, so it's not the beginning and it's not the end, so it's probably going to feel long to anybody.
It's probably just like a nature of being a middle game, that like you're not introducing all of the new stuff, which the first game did a really good job of, and the first game was also more compact. It was based on like one major region, and so you go to different areas in it, but it's like all kind of cohesive. And then presumably at the end, there's going to be a bunch of finality and crazy shit that I'm assuming this third game is going to be nuts. But in the middle, there's so much stuff that there were so many points in the game, and I mentioned this I think like 2 pods back, that it was like when it started getting aimless, when I was like, oh, you know, like it's fun, we're hanging out at the beach, we're all running around and chilling. Then we're going to go over and do this thing. We're doing that thing. And it's like fun because you're getting all these really good character moments. And that's like where this game absolutely shines. I'm like, I love character dynamics in games. I love getting to know your party members, like backstories, like whatever. That stuff that is the most important to me in a lot of games. And that stuff always shined through, but there is still so much time spent on like a lot of aimless things. And then I think by the time I was talking about it last, I was like, oh my God, I'm in like chapter 9 or 10, and it's like barely maybe a little bit of stuff happening. And then it's like, seriously, chapters like, maybe it's like 11 or 12, maybe 10, somewhere around there. Then it like really takes off. So that's where the game really like kind of gets going. And then there's like a bunch of shit that happens. So it's like, I feel like people always have this thing with like, oh yeah, I think they say about Persona actually a lot as well. We're like, oh yeah, this first like 10 hours or the first like somewhat whatever hours, like it doesn't really get going until hour 20 or hour whatever. And it's like, that's such a like rough thing I feel like to say about really long games. It's the same thing I feel like you hear about like a TV show. You're like, oh yeah, the first season or the second season, like those suck. Like, but once you get to like season 3, then it's really good. I'm like, well, do you really want to watch 2 seasons of bad TV?
Yeah.
And this feels like it's one of those where there is a lot of ups and downs in the beginning and the middle, but then as you get to the end, then it was like super crazy and really good, honestly. Okay. Yeah. But spoiler wise, I did want to kind of chat a little bit to mention a little bit of a spoiler here, and that's
and just so people know, we're gonna start really marking down the spoilers.
We're gonna
put some down the time.
We have actual time codes. Alli has just written it down, so I promise you, we will put in the time code if you do want me to spoil this. This is spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have not played original Final Fantasy VII, so I don't know what any of it means moving forward, FYI, but starting now. And that's just that at the end, this game has so much, like, multiverse stuff going on. And I don't know, like, what is your... I feel like everything nowadays is all about, like, the multiverse and, like, different timelines and universe or whatever. Do you like that kind of stuff?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like... Sometimes it just feels a little like, oh, let's just make it a multiverse to just, like, do more of the same shit or, like, the same characters but, like, different versions or whatever. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't really like it. But, like, how they did, like, the Spider-Man stuff, I thought that was awesome. Like, I really enjoyed that. So it's, like, I just have a hard time with it sometimes when it's, like, for example, like Flash when we were watching that and stuff. Like sometimes I was just kind of like, ugh, like again, kind of like it feels like if people keep going back to the same well with the multiverse stuff where it's like, oh, it's part of the multiverse again. It's like just so that we can just use that instead of doing a new storyline or whatever. It's kind of like can be kind of like, come on. Yeah. But I think if it's done well, then it can be good.
Yeah, because I feel the same way like that. Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not. It really depends. But I think that sometimes the trap that it kind of falls into is like when you have when you introduce a multiverse, when you have multiple verses. When you introduce a multiverse, it kind of like takes away sometimes some of the weight of the real. What is real?
Yeah, because then it's like, oh, but that was in this other multiverse, so then they're not really dead or something.
Yeah, it's like that was just one timeline. It's like, okay. Yeah. So in this game, there's all of this like stuff going on between like your main character Cloud and that party and what's going on, and there's this other character Zack who was like your kind of partner back in the day, and he seemingly maybe has died.
The dark hair guy, right?
With the black hair. He seemingly died in the main timeline. But you had been playing as him in these other scenes. Mm-hmm. And in that scene, which they had shown basically was a different timeline, which they do in a kind of a cute way. In the game, there's like this little mascot called, I think his name is Spot. I can't remember. But he's a little dog. And so they show whether you're in different timelines by showing like the picture of the dog on something. because he'll be like spray painted on a wall or something like that.
Yeah.
And so you'll see like, oh, this is a different dog. This one's a pug, and he's normally like a beagle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're then seeing the different thing, which is kind of funny. So that's how they kind of revealed. Stamp, yes. So they show this dog, and they'll show like different versions of him, which is how you're like, oh, this must be the different timeline. So you're playing as, occasionally you go back to Zach, and it seems like there's some weird stuff going on in the timelines there, where one of the characters that died in the previous game in the main timeline ended up there.
Oh my god.
Yes, exactly. So there's all this weird stuff going on, and then at the end of the game, like in the 14th chapter, 14 chapter, that's where the game ends, is in chapter 14. Then they really start like pulling all these threads and like mashing all of this like multiverse stuff together, where it's like, okay, now it's overlapping and this is happening, and then you see Zach taking like a decision, and he can either go this way and he goes that way, and he goes one way, and then you see what happens if he goes the other way. So then it starts to get so messy of like, well, what is it that actually fucking is happening? I can't tell, because they just keep like this and this and this and this. And then by the time they get to the end of the game, this is a game where I've known the entire time since I played the first part, I've known exactly how at some point Aerith, one of the main party members, would die. It's like one of the most classic things like in gaming is that Aerith like gets killed by Sephiroth.
Dead people kind of thing. Like
exactly.
Everybody already knows before you've ever played it.
If you have paid attention at all in like gaming, or like if you're tuned into like these types of games, you would know probably that Aerith gets killed by Sephiroth at some point in a very iconic scene where he like is stabbing her like on this long sword.
Right.
And so at some point I'm like, okay, Aerith is gonna die. So, and this game does such a strong job of setting up like these character moments of like emotional impact, and like, wow, I've spent so much time with Aerith, and you've built such a like good like friendship and partnership with Aerith that like she's such a good character, and then I'm just expecting that at some point she's going to die.
Right. And
then by the time that they get there, there's so much like extra bullshit going on with all of the like timelines and this and that.
Right.
And Cloud's always like kind of having these like little like fuzzy like he'll misremember things, or he'll like kind of get into like this weird mode where he's behaving like Sephiroth, like a bad guy, and all this weird stuff. So his mind is not there. But then when it happens, you're in the temple. Aerith is like there kind of praying, like trying to like, fight the demons essentially, whatever kind of thing that's going on, these like whispers. And then Sephiroth comes down from the sky to like take his sword to then stab Aerith. And then you have the chance, like as Cloud, where you press like the triggers and he like swipes the sword away and blocks Sephiroth's sword. And this whole game and the game prior have been about like how you can defy destiny. You're like, you had a destined path, but you destroyed that in the previous game, so now it seemed like it could go anywhere, so maybe things would change. And then it's like he misremembered, like it's like, and then all of a sudden it's like he didn't do it, and then Aerith is now dead. And then all of a sudden there's blood everywhere, and it's like, oh my god, so she did die. But they don't like show the same scene that I would expect, which is like her actually being like straight up murdered, shish kebab, which is what they did in the previous game, or the original game. But then it's like, oh shit, I guess she died. But that was confusing, but I guess she died. Fuck. And then everybody's all sad and whatever. And then there's a boss battle where you fight against Sephiroth, and then Aerith like kind of apparates in and is like, oh, and she's like fighting with you. And I'm like, okay, is she back? Or is this like
and
her
then you were
spirit
like
is somehow fighting with me?
Then you were like talking to her when you were getting on the ship or whatever.
Yes.
And then no one else could see her and like all this stuff.
So it's like, then you finish that battle, and then you like go back as Cloud, and you're like holding Aerith, and you're like, oh, Aerith, like, oh my god, and you're like, wake up. And then she opens her eyes and wakes up, and it's like, oh, is she alive? But then she like disappears.
He's like, oh.
Then she like disappears, and it's like, okay, so she's dead, I guess. And then you all like walk out, and everybody's just kind of like sad and whatever, but it's like still doesn't feel like they
killed her.
Nailed that emotional landing there. And then at the end of the game, there's the cutscene you were talking about, where they're all like, okay, now they're kind of gearing up to go, continue on whatever, and like Cloud has the final like black materia and all this like cool teasery shit for whatever the next game will be. But then you see Aerith in the field, and Cloud's like talking to her, and she's like, oh, you know, like this place feels like home now, like whatever. And then nobody else can see her, and then he leaves, and she like kind of he gets in the plane, they fly off, and then she like kind of waves goodbye. But it's just like so odd. So I'm just so frustrated. So I feel like I need to talk about it because like after all this time that they spent building up all this stuff, and then it just like I feel like completely missed the landing, and I'm just very frustrated about that. But it was otherwise good. But it's just at that last, I feel like the last moment.
Maybe it will all pay off in the end.
I hope so.
Bring together all these crazy things.
I hope so. But it's like at the last moment, I feel like they just got too like almost like up their own ass, and then just got kind of like muddled what could have been probably a very simple emotional impact of like, hey, that character that you really like, boom, she just got murdered.
Yeah.
Doesn't that suck? And you'd be like, yeah, that really sucks. I'm gonna go kill this guy now.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, but actually she's kind of alive. Oh wait, no, she's dead. Oh wait, she's alive. She's dead. But actually, her spirit is around, maybe. And it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, very wishy-washy.
Yes, but otherwise, still really enjoyed it. Still a really nice game. I definitely recommend it to people. I mean, obviously start from the first one though, for sure, because otherwise, I mean, you know, it won't make any sense trying to play this. But yeah, highly recommend. And yeah, that's end of spoilers. End of spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Definitely check it out. Play the first one if you haven't. I think they're both on, or at least the first one's on like the PlayStation Plus premium subscription or whatever thing as well. So yeah, definitely worth doing. And honestly, if you play the game not like I did, where I did like every single side quest, I mean, it's also very much my own fault that the game was paced so insanely. If you just kind of run through it a bit quicker, like I think people would also probably not have necessarily the same complaints about it being so long in the middle, because I'm like do every little thing that appears, and that's kind of my own fault. So, but still very good.
Good, yeah. And then I'm still working on my Bayonetta game. I got a little stuck, and then I was playing it again, and it's still good, but I'm just kind of slow pacing that one.
Yeah.
But I did just play Big Kitty Little City, and it's big. Oh yeah, Little Kitty Big City. My bad.
She says, as our kitty comes over to the table.
Big kitty
as
in
our
a
big
little
kitty,
city.
Little apartment.
Yeah. He's trying to. You want to come meow into the mic, Char? No? Okay. But I played that already. I played the whole thing, which seems insane, but it was only like 5 or 6 hours or something. So, but
yeah, you beat that fast as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but it was really, really good. It's very like cute, and if you like cats, it's like super cat, like oriented. It's very much like the way they make the cat move and like act and all of that is very realistic. And so, yeah, I really liked that, but I'm just going to do a little bit of spoilers.
What is the game, actually, first? Like, what? I'm curious.
What do
you do?
You are a cat, and then you fall out of a window because you're, like, sunbathing, and you're in Japan, and you're up in this, like, high building, and you fall out, and so then you have to get home.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so it's like, you basically are running around the city, and then you meet, like, I think you meet the crow first, maybe? I don't know if it's, like, in a specific order. But then you get fish from him. Well, you get a fish from him, and then you can climb a little bit. But you need to have all 4 fish before you can climb all the way up to where your house is.
Okay.
So then you, like, just do these little, like, side questy things. But there's only, like, one side quest, or, like, one little quest that you have to do in order to get all 4 of the fish. But then there's, like, all these other little things where, like, you can, like, another cat asks you to, like, knock all of these jars of jam off of, like, a convenience store shelves. Or, like, this other cat is just, I don't remember what his deal was. And then you run into, like, a chameleon, and you're supposed to find him again. But I didn't, because when you start doing the one quest, or, like, once you get all 4 fish, then you start climbing, and I didn't realize, like, that was I was going back up to my house.
Oh, that you were ending the game.
Yeah. So, but then you can like collect hats in these little. They're called gachapon, and they're like these little. The little kind of like egg things where you like do a what's that called?
I don't know, like a
coin slot machine or a coin machine or whatever. And then you like open them, and then the cat gets like different hats that it can wear, and they're really cute. And then you collect these things called shinies that are just like paper clips or like little shiny things, and you give them to the crow, and he gives you more hats.
What's your favorite hat?
Of the ones that I got, probably the cactus hat so far.
Cactus hat?
Yeah.
Okay.
I only have like 7 or something.
Out of how many?
42.
Oh my god, you got some collecting to do then.
Well, yeah, exactly. So now, then you can like go back and like 100% it. Or like there's these 5. You can get a soccer ball and a goal, and there's 5 of those. I got 3 of those. And then there's this other one called If I Fits, I Sits.
Oh my god.
Inside of cardboard boxes. And so I have 3 of those, 3 out of 5 of those also. So, and then you can like, there's a bunch of like little reward or like award things that you can get for like collecting 200 shinies or jumping on however many birds or knocking 100 things off of the walls or whatever. So there's a lot of those types of things, and it's actually just like really fun. So I think I'll probably end up going back at some point and just trying it.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, I mean, you're just kind of running around chilling, so it seems like a super easy game to just play while you're doing anything else. You know what I mean? Like pop it open on the train, or pop it open on a flight, or during a TV session or whatever.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Because I feel like that's the thing with my Switch sometimes, that like I really like the Switch, but sometimes depending on the game, it's like if I really want to engross myself or listen to music or this or that, it's like, well, you can't always play while you're watching something else or doing something else. But that sounds like a really nice game for that then.
Yeah, it was very, very fun.
Was it like difficult at all, or pretty easy? Like anybody can play that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like the camera thing, but it's not like you have to really do anything. There's like a few times that I fell off of stuff because I didn't have the camera in the right spot.
Yeah.
But other than that,
no,
it's
like
very
difficult
easy.
platforming or anything.
No,
okay.
not at all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, sounds fun. It looks really cute.
It's very cute.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, so maybe I could also check it out because that's free, right? Or, free, quote unquote. It's nice to have sometimes like these little short games as well. That's like a short little palette cleanser.
Honestly, you could probably
especially after I play
it.
something so long. It's
yeah.
nice.
Honestly, you could probably finish it in like 2 hours, but
yeah, maybe. But you know me, I like to collect things too. So.
But I mean, you could finish the main thing in like 2 hours. But
of course. Nice. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah.
Since the last time we talked, I think it might have been the last episode where I was talking about this game coming out that was being, having the pervert flag waved for it, whatever. But turns out, Stellar Blade is actually a very good game.
I will say I have seen the costumes, and it's aggressive, but
it can be a bit egregious sometimes, for sure. That is definitely true.
Literally, in some of the costumes, she's literally just running around in lingerie and like a bunny, high heels.
Yeah, of course. It's
like, good God.
It's
whatever.
That is definitely a bit absurd sometimes, for sure. But it is actually a very nice game, and that is the thing that I was hoping it would be. Which, like, outside of whatever stupid, costumes and design, whatever, of the character, which is everybody talking about all the time, it's like, oh yeah, but how's the game? And the game's actually very fun. So, it's got very nice, like, combat, and the kind of combos and the skill trees and whatever have, like, gotten more and more complicated in a good way. Like, since I've played, it's like, oh, you had these many different skill trees with different, like, combos and things you can unlock. And as I've played, it's like, boom, another one unlocked. Boom, another one unlocked. So it's like all these different abilities, and your kit as far as like how you take out enemies and bosses or whatever, like it gets pretty cool with the types of attacks and things that you can do. Because if you haven't seen this, for our listeners, this is very much like an action game, like a third-person action game. So if you played anything like a Bayonetta or a Nier Automata or even maybe Devil May Cry, slash honestly kind of like Sekiro, that Japanese what is it, Dark Souls-y kind of game I played. It's kind of similar to that, so it's a lot of like high pay, or high kind of octane, fast-paced combat. It's very parry-centric, so you have to parry a lot. Dodging is okay. You're mainly doing like only really perfect dodges are of use. If you do just a regular dodge, you're fucked. You're pretty much parrying or doing a perfect dodge, so it's really timing based, so it's not very much an easy game, but it is really fun. And I think like some of the standouts for me is honestly like the music, which is amazing. I think like the world design is super cool. The bosses are really, really cool, and the enemies are freaky and weird. Seems like the
story, you are like, it's very intriguing also.
Yeah, I think like for me so far, it's like all of the core game stuff is really, really good. Like, especially as I mentioned before, it's like it's actually the studio's first like AAA, like, or big 3D game like this. And they've just done mobile games before, so it's pretty crazy. But yeah, great combat, great music, great world, great design of like characters. Like, they all look cool, and villains and enemies.
Yeah, the enemies are
monsters
creepy.
are freaky. But the story is interesting enough. But I feel like the thing that I do come back to a little bit is just like everything's kind of like flat a little bit, where it's just like the voice acting's like a little kind of like kind of flat sometimes, and like the writing is sometimes kind of flat, and it's just like that's like not the most engaging.
That was their last thoughts.
Yeah, but like so far the story is at least interesting enough. Like the world that they've built is very cool. So even if it's like this game, maybe I expect it seems like it's selling pretty well. I saw like some articles. It seemed like from PlayStation it's doing pretty well. So maybe then they would make a sequel, or make more games within that universe or something. But definitely would recommend if people like these types of action games. It's very stylish. It's very fun. Definitely give it a shout or give it a shot and take a look at it. But yes, it is. The designs can sometimes be a bit much, maybe. So
but
if you're running around in like a bunny bikini or something, and your mom walks in or your partner walks in or something, and is like, "Oh, what game are you playing?"
Or if you want to play it,
there's that for you.
You're like, I really don't care about that part. Then you can just wear this giant bear costume. It's like a bear, mascot, basically. It's very cute.
Yeah, I did unlock a giant teddy bear costume. So there's that. So that's like, now it's basically like a cute game.
And there are actually some cool like streetwear outfits and stuff. That's not what Mac has are wearing.
Excuse me. I'm wearing, I was wearing like, I don't know what you call it, but like one of these like kind of like a Chinese sort of dress thing or whatever, like a Lucy Liu kind of vibe.
Right.
That's pretty
that's
normal.
Like barely below her butt cheeks with a slit that comes up to her like hip.
Well, I didn't design the character.
And then what are those things called? The
stockings,
like stockings,
and heels. Yeah. I mean, I don't make the designs. I just appreciate them.
I know. Right? I'm just saying. It's not like she's wearing some floor length one of those.
I put her in sweatpants and a hoodie.
Yeah.
She's got on Uggs.
Yeah.
She's just out there vibing in the desert.
Yeah. Also, that would not be very comfortable.
No. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'll keep playing it. It's pretty easy as well to do like a lot of the collectibles and side things. So I'll probably keep up on those because. Nice. It's quite fun. It's like a part of the weird style of this game, but I showed you it, I think, when I was playing earlier today. It's like when you collect, there's like collectible cans. That's like the only like numeric collectible where it's like collect them all in the game. It's like soda cans or beer cans, energy drinks, whatever, for no reason at all. And when you pick them up, it does this noise of like da-da, and she like does these weird poses and like poses at the camera like it's an advertisement, and it's like so completely strange and random and like out of place, but it's like really funny and stylish. It's like so weird. It's
that was funny. Also,
doesn't make any sense. But
when you were saying like we were both playing our games at the same time, and like mine's this like little kitty running around, and it's like very like easy and no combat and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I would still get mad and like yell the same things that you're yelling in your game. Yeah. But then also when you were saying that, I was thinking like one of the collectible things is like when I first started running around, you can pick up cans, and I was like, why would I want to just pick up and walk around with a can? But you can like recycle them, and then it spits out shinies.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, that's really funny that both of our games also you can collect cans.
That's so fun. That's the one overlap is we
Yeah.
both collect cans, and then you're running around as a cute cat, and I'm killing weird, freaky alien monsters over like Korean jazz music. Yeah, which is a vibe for sure.
Vibe.
So
yeah,
that's been nice. I've been enjoying that, and I did start. I haven't played too much of it yet, but I did start a game called Animal Well on my Switch. That's what I was playing on the train.
Mm-hmm. Is that the little blob thing?
Yeah, it's like you're playing. It's a Metroidvania. It's from. I think it's from a single guy developed it himself, and they got picked up by a publisher, and it just came out and it's been getting really good reviews.
Oh.
And it's super nice. I've only played a little bit of it so far, but it's pretty cool. It's a Metroidvania, 2D, very much like looks really old school. It even has, which I appreciate when games do. It has like scan lines, like fake scan lines, so it kind of even looks like you're playing it on like an old CRT monitor. And it's classic Metroidvania, but except there's like no combat at all. So it's just like platforming and trying to get around, and you are very much not capable of hurting or doing anything to anything that you find. Pretty much.
Awesome.
So it's like anytime there's some sort of creature that comes at you, it's like I gotta
have to just get around it.
Distract it, do something else because I cannot attack.
Yeah.
But it's been super interesting. It's like definitely one of those games that I don't think you would like.
No.
Because it is completely obscure. It never tells you basically anything of what to do. It says, hey, there's 4 things you need to get, and it just shows you where they are on the map. But then it's just like, all right, well, just go up there somehow, way off on the side, very dark corner of the map that's all black around it because you haven't explored anything around it. And you just got to get over there somehow. And it's like, okay, I guess I'll just fucking run around until I find somewhere.
Well, we've already discussed how I don't really like the Metroidvania. Like, oh, then you have to come back to this area. Like,
and
I
am
not
constant.
that person.
Yeah, it's constant backtracking. But I'm enjoying it, so I think I'll keep up on it for sure.
What's the game that we're going to start playing that came out on Tuesday last week?
Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons.
Oh, yeah, but no, it's not true. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not what we thought it was.
Yeah, it's annoying. They added the Game Pass. They added Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons to Game Pass, which we had talked about on that our March Madness episode.
Yeah.
Is from the same company, right? But it's not the remade version, which is odd. You would think if they were going to like add a new thing to the streaming service, of like, hey, here's a new game for you, they would add the one that just came out, the remade version, and not the one that came out like 10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
It's super strange.
That's super weird.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. But that did lead me a little bit into I was thinking about what sort of my next game was going to be. And that was going to be after I finished Stellar Blade, I think, is going to be Hellblade. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one with, if you haven't played it, to our listeners, but it came out as a PlayStation exclusive, then it went to both parties, and then actually Xbox ended up buying the developer, and now it's an Xbox exclusive for the sequel, which is super weird.
That's so frustrating for the people who are PlayStation people and played that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's so annoying.
It's super weird. But yeah, the first game, very much like, I think it's like only like 8 hours or whatever. It's like a Nordic kind of vibe game, kind of freaky, but a little bit actiony, a little bit story, walkie, simulatory, as they call those types of games. About a character who basically has like kind of schizophrenia, I think it is, like kind of manic like personalities in her mind that speak to you. And one of the really cool things about that game, and I feel like at some point it'd be cool for you to honestly like try this game just because it's so good with like how it does so much of this. Honestly, like if you put down the difficulty, I honestly don't think you probably have that hard of a time.
Maybe.
Because it's not so fast. And the combat comes in specific moments. So it's even like I could even help you with the combat.
Yeah.
Because it's like mostly non-combat sequences and then there's like a combat sequence. But even if you turn the difficulty down quite a lot, maybe you could, you never know. But it's very good. And it's not that long either. But what they do so well is that the audio design, they use like binaural audio. And so when she has multiple voices in her head, you're hearing them like if you have good headphones, if you have good headphones on, you're hearing them all around you. Like, and so like when you're fighting, like if an enemy comes up behind you, you'll hear it behind you, the voice going like, "Look behind you." Like it's really freaky, but it's really good. And there's the sequel coming up for this game. from a studio called Ninja Theory, owned by Microsoft, and that is like a perfect sort of segue for me talking about. I feel like I'm excited for this game, but I'm also super worried about this game because there's all this like, I don't know. I mentioned a little bit, but I don't know if you've seen any of the news that there was a bunch of layoffs again at Microsoft, and a bunch of layoffs and studio closures at the Xbox division, because now they essentially, since they bought Bethesda a couple years back and like all of the developers underneath, then they now have bought Activision Blizzard, which make like Call of Duty, they make World of Warcraft, Diablo, a bunch of those. And that was, I think it was like $69 billion that they paid for that, which is fucking crazy. I mean, granted, it's like, they're all really popular stuff over there, but that's fucking crazy, right?
That's so much money.
It's so much money. And now they have closed Tango Gameworks, which is the studio that made a couple games you wouldn't know but were cool. That was like The Evil Within. It's like a very popular franchise, and that studio used to be led by the guy who was like known for Resident Evil before he left that. And they also did Ghostwire Tokyo, which is a game I played, set in Tokyo. We have like all the weird finger shit, like shooting magic out of your hands. And they did the Hi-Fi Rush, which was that like music rhythm action game with cartoon characters that was also fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And that released last year and got so much critical acclaim and was like so popular. And according to Microsoft, like they had even come out and said like, yeah, this game did so well, like it totally met our success metrics by all metrics. It did great because people were worried it didn't do well because they just like shadow dropped it, no marketing. They just said, hey, boom, it's out today, which is cool. But then people are like, oh yeah, it didn't do that well. And then they came out and said, no, it did great. And then it's like a year later, they're like, that studio's closed. And it makes me so frustrated. And then they did the same thing with another studio that made another game that I really liked from back in the day called Prey, and that's Arkane Austin, so based out of Austin. There's 2 Arkane studios. They do Dishonored. They also did like Prey. They did a couple other good games. And they closed that one as well, though they did release like a dud last year, like a not a very good game, but same thing. Boom, they closed it. And then they've said that there are, apparently they're not done with that, so there's still cost-cutting measures as well.
Couldn't they
Sucks
just like
ass.
release the studio or something instead of like closing it? It just seems so sad. Like now those people that team can't continue to make cool shit.
It's fucked up. And that's the thing I was thinking of too, is like there's this other player in the industry called Embracer Group, which is actually I think the Swedish company that like has been such a joke in the gaming industry for some years, because I mean, first of all, their name is called Embracer Group, and so people are always like, oh, you're gonna get embraced, which because they keep like buying up all these studios, and then just like suddenly they buy up all these things, nobody's ever releasing any games, it seems like, out of all these studios, and then they're just like closing them and laying people off and whatever, and it's like, dude, stop fucking buying these studios and then ruining them all or tanking them all to the ground. And some of those studios like then spun out and said, okay, like we're like going independent again, or we're buying ourselves out or whatever. So there's a couple that have done that, and now Embracer Group has kind of like dissolved into a couple different companies now, where there's one of them is called Middle Earth and Friends, which is so odd because Embracer Group now owns the rights to like the Lord of the Rings properties, like to make games and any adaptations or whatever. It's like so fucking weird. So they spun out into a bunch of different weird grouped studios. And then the same thing happened at Microsoft, actually, surprisingly, a different studio called Toys for Bob, who made like the most recent like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro games. They at some point like got out and went independent again. So I don't know why these other ones couldn't. They just had to close them. But it sucks because, I totally agree. It's like these studios who made really great things for years, like a long time ago, before Bethesda had, like was bought into Microsoft. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, Microsoft wants to see more money, so they just shut these studios because they're thinking about the short term and they don't really give a shit about the long term. But it's such a bummer. I feel like the gaming industry has been super brutal. I mean, the tech industry in general, right, has been really fucking brutal with layoffs, like, over the last couple of years.
We both felt that.
Yeah, but it sucks when it's also, I mean, it's like hitting these gaming things that are close, like near and dear to my heart is definitely a bummer.
Yeah.
So it makes me worry for sure, because I also I wonder, like, I see the writing on the wall for a game coming out very soon that's like has had honestly not that much marketing. Comes out I think tomorrow. I think it literally comes out tomorrow. Hellblade II.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not had that much marketing. That it's been in development for like 6 years.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a big massive seller. It's like an it's like an artistic, like, right. It's like an 8-hour artistic game from, like,
well, and also, like, even if it does well, folks. It seems like it'll get closed anyways. So
yeah, exactly. So it's like, well, what are you supposed to do if you
can't win for losing, literally.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do if you succeed and make a game that apparently is successful and does well, and then you get closed? And then if you're making a game at any other studio, what the fuck are you thinking is going to happen if you release a game that maybe it is successful and you're still fucked, or if it doesn't do well? I mean, you're fucked there too, because Redfall, which is the game that the other studio had released last year, didn't do very well. Granted, I don't think a lot of that was their fault. They got pushed into making a multiplayer game, long story short, and they're usually making single-player games. It seems like maybe they got pushed into making a multiplayer game, and probably that it was made to release way before it was ready to fill, like, an empty calendar slot, probably. And so I don't think they were set up for success either. So it's like you just kind of get fucked either way.
I feel like I can understand so much more about, like, these politics and this stuff that you're talking about after we watched
Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest.
Yeah.
I feel like I can totally understand now, like, all of these things that you're talking about because of that show.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah, it's really rough times, especially because I feel like in the last years it's been honestly, like, some of the best for games.
Yeah.
But it's been, like, kind of some of the worst for, like, the games industry. Where it's, like, constant layoffs,
just, like, super cutthroat.
Yeah, it's, like, constant layoffs, constant studios being closed, but I also feel like it's it's not like the games industry wasn't already, like, you know, around growth and capitalism and making profits and whatever. Like, it already was, but I do feel like
it's gotten more so.
Yeah, as it's gotten more and more popular, it's getting more and more, like, commercialized. Like, it's all about, like, growth metrics and, like, whether we can year over year increase our revenue and profits within the gaming division or not. And it's like, okay, well, even when Microsoft or Xbox make billions in revenue or profit, they're like, yeah, but we didn't make as many billions as we wanted to make. We made a lot of billions, but we wanted to make a bit more billions, so we're going to, like, fire all these people. It's like, well, you still made enough money.
Yeah.
If you made more than zero, you made extra money that you just didn't use.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. But that's more of an argument on capitalism craziness than it is about the gaming industry in particular, and we're not smart enough to probably have that conversation on this podcast.
On this podcast, definitely, because I definitely don't have the vocabulary or knowledge to be arguing for any of that. But
But yeah. So long story short, I'm very excited for Hellblade 2. I'm going to replay the first one, I think, to kind of get ready for the second, because it's been a fucking long time.
Play it tonight.
Well, I'm not going to play it tomorrow because I still got to beat Stellar Blade, so I'm not going to play it right when it comes out. I'm going to wait a little bit because I don't think I'm going to finish Stellar Blade tonight, play all of Hellblade 1, and then be ready for Hellblade 2 tomorrow.
Just take the day off work.
Yeah, I'll take the day off work. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but a bit nervous. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, you'll have to keep us updated.
Yeah. I think the reviews for it drop tomorrow, which is the game drops, which is always a bit like a little bit weird. It's like, well, if I want to buy the game, I would love to know
if it's good or not.
Like the reviews before the day that it comes out, please. But that's just how some developers or some studios do it. They don't always release them early. I think most of the Bethesda game studios reviews are always like 10 minutes before the game comes out. They're like, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it sucks. Whatever. Here you go. As opposed to other games where sometimes it's like 2 weeks in advance, Right. So we'll see. Yeah. But
hopefully it's good.
I hope so. We'll see. And as an Xbox fan, it's definitely like it's really rough. It's a rough time to be an Xbox fan, to be honest, because even when we would get wins, like good game last year, then we had Starfield at the end of the year, which is pretty good. I know it didn't blow everybody's socks off, but I liked it a lot. And then like we have a new game coming out this week. It's supposed to be exciting. And then like there's the Xbox showcase in June, and so everybody's like, man, it's gonna be a great year. I think there's gonna be a bunch of good Xbox games this year. Actually, there's like the Indiana Jones game. There's Avowed, which is kind of like a Skyrim-like game made by another studio within Xbox. There's, what else is there? I think there's supposed to be a new Call of Duty, which will be under Xbox now this year. There's an expansion for Starfield coming this year. I think there's even another game I can't remember from Xbox too. But there's a bunch of shit this year. So it's actually a really exciting time. And then they just like constantly like step on a rake every time they turn around. They're like, all right, we've got all this cool stuff. And it's like, and then bam, and they do something stupid. Yeah. That then like suddenly pisses everybody off and makes you like lose faith in what they have going on. So it's like, oh my God, it's constant. It's so insane. So we'll see. Trying to be optimistic. It's only a week actually, or no, a couple weeks until fake E3 or Key 3, Summer Games Fest with like Jeff Keighley. So that's, I think, like the 6th or the 7th of June. Okay. So hopefully there'll be a whole bunch of cool new shit coming out there. Yeah. A bunch of new games and information to hear about. So maybe we can chat about that a little bit when that happens. Yeah, that'd be nice. That'll be a nice recap one. A little recap, because there'll be some good presentations and some good stuff to dive into. I'm super interested, and I'm hoping we get some good shit this year. Yeah. I think there's some cool stuff to come for sure. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, anything else? I feel like I've had a lot of things to just get off my chest this episode, so I'm feeling very relieved. I'm feeling good. Good. Yeah. Anything on your side? Nope. It was just big city, little kitty was my only like. You still said it backwards. You said the right size. Little kitty, wrong order. Big city. There you go. That was the only thing. It was just so fun. It was so cute. Yeah. What's your next cute? You gotta find your next cute cozy game, or you're gonna keep exploring at least for a little bit now? Well, I'm gonna keep playing my game, and then I'll probably explore a little bit, and then I'll probably find another new game that's maybe like another short one or something. Yeah. Those are always nice. Yeah. Cool. Well, it's nice getting back on the mic, getting back at it. Yeah, I think we're not going to be quite as busy, so I think we'll definitely be back a little sooner this time around. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. Cool. Well, thanks for the chat. Oh, that was for me? Yeah, that was for you. Yeah, that's for you. Thank you for the chat. Oh. I haven't talked to you all day. I know. Jeez. Just been waiting to talk to you until we recorded this. We always stay silent before podcasts. Like, no talking for 24 hours, okay? There are times, though, where I'll be like, Mac will be like, how's the game going? And I'm like, I'll tell you on the podcast. Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you when it's recorded, okay? Only when it's for content, not for fun. Content queen. Yeah. We can't miss out on the content, of course. But yeah, thanks for listening. If you're listening, and if you're not, then fuck you. Oh my God. I'm just kidding. No, you wouldn't hear that though if you weren't listening. So it's a catch-22. Oh Lord. All right. Anyways, thank you. And yeah, we'll come back with another one at some point. But until then, thank you very much. Catch you next time. See ya.